In late August, news broke that one of China's most notable Wumao or 50-cent army member, Sima Nan, had been stopped by border officials at Beijing's capital airport. He was stopped for alleged insider trading involving a media company while he tried to pass through customs with an American green card. Wumao is a name for Chinese trolls or internet commentators hired by the CCP to manipulate public opinion and disseminate disinformation. This news is considered highly authentic because this prominent Wumao didn't speak out about the failed attempt to flee or deny it as fake news. This is inconsistent with the style of Wumao, who has a habit of spreading disinformation and rumor-mongering, especially when it's a matter of principle that concerns his own glorious image. The source said he tried to flee Beijing and fly to the US at 10 a.m. on August 21st. 2 days before that, his Weibo account and Douyin account were blocked, but his overseas YouTube account is still available. Born in 1956, a Chinese Communist Party or CCP member, Sima Nan began his career in 1997 as an anti-pseudoscience activist, making a name for himself as a science fighter. By the beginning of the 21st century, he turned to political commentary, helping the CCP to incite the Chinese people against the US. He is known for displaying a fierce, nationalist stance on social media. Against the background of tensions between China and the US, Sima Nan, who is good at hurling abuses at the US and stirring up patriotic or party-loving sentiment, has gained a large following in China. His Weibo account has over 3 million fans. His 2 Douyin accounts, one of which includes today's headline, have over 22 million and 10 million fans respectively. Douyin is TikTok's name in China. On Bilibili, nicknamed B-Site, a video sharing website, he has over 2 million fans. Chinese media have estimated the commercial value of these fans by size, and the valuation of Sima Nan, who has nearly 100 million fans across the internet, is over 200 million RMB, or about 29 million US dollars. It can be said that making a career out of being a major Wumao has provided Sima Nan with a very affluent life. Previously, he encountered a well-known incident. That is, his head was stuck, not in China, but in the US. It all started on January 20th, 2012. Sima Nan posted on Weibo saying, "The US is the enemy of the people all over the world, exploiting countries all over the world. Like a huge tumor, people all over the world are questioning the US." He then flew to Washington, D.C. to spend New Year's Eve with his family. Unexpectedly, at Washington International Airport, while riding an escalator, his head got caught in a ladder that was overhanging a wall. He passed out on the spot and was rushed to the emergency room. After being revived, he posted on Weibo saying, "Being anti-American in China is my job, and this visit to the US is my life outside of work." He hoped that netizens who ridiculed him would make a distinction between work and life. Some netizens said the escalator in the US got mad and decided to teach this Chinese Wumao a lesson. This year, Chinese netizens have noticed a closer connection between Sima Nan and the US. Some Chinese netizens in the US broke the news that Sima Nan owns real estate in the US. The owners of the real estate are his son and wife. It was purchased in 2010 for just over $583,000. It isn't a small house that Sima Nan once claimed to have invested in with relatives and friends. The home is now worth $1 million.
我们家在美国买过一个小房子，一共花了25.7万美元，铺天盖地都是关于这个事情的报道。我现在必须以非常沉痛的心情跟大家检讨，犯下如此严重的、不可饶恕的罪行，我感到追悔莫及。我辜负了网友对我的期待。
On August 16th, 2022, Sima Nan had to admit on Twitter that he bought a house in the US in 2010. In addition to the previously mentioned house, an opinion piece published by China's online platform 163.com exposed 2 other properties he had purchased in the US. That is, he has a total of 3 American properties located in the San Francisco Bay Area, home to Silicon Valley and one of the highest per capita income areas in America, where prices are relatively high and so are the real estate prices. So far, Sima Nan hasn't commented on the other two properties that have been exposed. Naturally, his buying properties in the US has infuriated little pinks. Clear-headed Chinese people find it comical. One netizen sarcastically remarked, "According to you, the US is so chaotic, unsafe, dangerous, and inhumane. Why do you want to buy a house in the US and a luxury house? The world is so big. You didn't go to North Korea, Russia, or Afghanistan to buy houses? Why did you choose to buy houses in the US? A person who is inconsistent with what he says is a hypocrite. A person who is full of lies is a big liar." Netizens also disclosed on Tencent that Sima Nan's wife had appeared on the roster of the Boston Real Estate Board Language Services team commissioners and volunteers in the US. In other words, the husband was bashing the US and China, but the wife was serving the US overseas. At 1700 on August 19th, the last update on his Weibo account read, Sima Nan reported to the Ministry of Public Security and the Central Internet Information Office, Lenovo spent money to manipulate public opinion. In the video, Sima Nan blames the public outcry over his buying in the US on Lenovo Group and its paid manipulation of public opinion to discredit him. He described the incident as a conspiracy where a big capitalist corporation that sells out the country went against a patriot. Lenovo Group is a Chinese multinational technology company. Sima Nan picked Lenovo Group to launch a Cultural Revolution-style attack, which is tantamount to targeting the rise of private big companies and private capital in China. Facing the tide of unemployment, one of the ways the CCP uses to distract the masses from getting skeptical of itself is to criticize the capitalists and accuse them of exploitation and heartlessness along with other crimes. This allowed the big Wumao individuals an opportunity to muddy the waters. Unfortunately, the next day, on August 20th, his Weibo and Douyin accounts were banned for violating relevant laws and regulations. There is a hierarchy within the 50-cent army in China. People like Sima Nan belong to the top class. The former editor-in-chief of China's official media, Global Times, Hu Xijin, also belongs to this class. In addition, there were two other well-known Wumao, Kong Qingdong and Wu Fatian. The Chinese public ranked these four as the CCP's four big Wumaos. This group of top-class Wumaos shares a common trait. They skillfully and quietly smear the current party leader Xi Jinping and praise the former party leader Jiang Zemin in a high profile. Of course, not all of the CCP's top Wumaos are like this, but these four that emerged almost simultaneously belong to the same group. At the same time that Sima Nan was banned, another well-known leftist big Wumao, Peking University professor Kong Qingdong, was also banned from social media. The reason given was also a violation of relevant laws and regulations. Kong's Weibo account has over 4 million fans, and its last update was also on August 20th. On March 15, 2012, Bo Xilai, the intended successor of the former party leader Jiang Zemin, fell from power, who was the secretary of Chongqing's municipal party committee at the time. The next day, Kong Qingdong took to social media to tearfully express his grievances for Bo Xilai, calling on everyone to rise up and fight against the darkness. At the time, it was said that Bo had paid off a list of more than 200 literati, including Sima Nan and Kong Qingdong, who were among the top Wumaos. On March 24, 2012, Kong Qingdong revealed on his Weibo account that he had been restricted by state security for 5 days because he had received about $150,000 from Bo Xilai to propagate his Chongqing model. After the fall of Bo Xilai, a Sina-certified media commentator and TV anchor revealed that Sima Nan's wife and son immigrated to the US thanks to Bo Xilai. Replacing Xi Jinping with Bo Xilai was the secret layout of Jiang Zemin and Zheng Qinghong when they agreed to Xi Jinping's entry into the top leadership of the central government at the 17th Communist Party Congress. In addition to the many coups and assassinations that Jiang's faction has staged in an attempt to overthrow the current regime, it has also used the strategy to pay off prominent Wumaos to manipulate public opinion against the Xi administration. Currently, the struggle between the Xi administration and its political enemies is getting more and more fierce before the 20th Communist Party Congress, and the sudden banning of the big Wumaos who have been running the internet for years may be part of the authorities' campaign to purge the internet and crack down on their opponents. This situation may signal the end of the red life of this group of prominent Wumaos. Of course, China's massive 50 cents army won't disappear. In reality, these Wumao groups are not only financially backed by the CCP, but also managed by shrewd Chinese businessmen. These businessmen see business opportunity where prominent Wumaos become opinion leaders in China. Thus, they work to build up star Wumaos just like the top anchors on e-commerce platforms. These businessmen refer to it as the neo-patriotic cultural industry. In November 2021, Tencent.com published a report, The Online Traffic Mechanisms Behind Sima Nan and the Secret of Cashing In. The report details a chain of industries including how professional PR firms, capital investment, and video production teams serve the chosen star Wumao. It concluded, traffic is money, money doesn't sleep, and traffic doesn't sleep either. That is to say, the upper echelons of Wumaos are in fact very shrewd. They regard patriotism or love for the party as a business or even an industry to develop. In reality, it has nothing to do with whether they love the country or the party themselves. China's situation, both politically and economically, has been very turbulent in recent years, and Wumaos are thinking of a way out. For some of these well-paid Wumaos, the best way out is of course to run and escape from China. Like many Chinese who have been researching how to run or get out of China safely, Wumao also considers the US one of their first choices. In 2019, the US Department of State required the vast majority of US visa applicants to submit social media accounts beginning May 31st of that year, in an effort to screen out terrorists. The U.S. non-immigrant visa application DS-160 also added a field requiring applicants to fill out their social media accounts. The form lists some social media accounts, including Chinese social media, for example, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Youku, QQ, Sina Weibo, Tencent, etc. An unexpected phenomena has emerged. The number of people cursing the US on the internet in mainland China has suddenly dropped dramatically, and the so-called Little Pinks and Wumao have disappeared in large numbers. To this day, what Sima Nan famously said, being anti-American is work while visiting the US is life, has long become a catchphrase. It very accurately describes the split personality of the CCP's big Wumao. It's a peculiar phenomenon that in a time when there is no war, people in China's metropolitan areas are thinking about how to flee China, even the 50 cents army. Whoever wants to escape from this red country needs to speed up. Moreover, he or she needs some luck. As we introduced in our previous episode, since the lockdown of Shanghai in March of this year, China has become a place of the study of running away, especially how to migrate overseas without any problems. Here's a look at the US consulate in Shanghai, which opened at the end of August 2022, and saw that it was packed for several days in a row. Despite the daily cursing of the US and the smear campaign against it, there are too many Chinese who yearn to flee to America. This is the US consulate where visas are issued today. Take a look. Everyone is lined up here waiting to enter the US consulate. Some years ago, the Chinese government began to control outbound travel. Civil servants' passports must be handed over to their government for safekeeping. Starting in 2020, the CCP has tightened its controls on entry and exit on the grounds that there are many imported infections from abroad. In May 2022, the Chinese Immigration Bureau issued new measures requiring immigration authorities and border checkpoints to enforce a strict immigration policy, restrict non-essential outbound activities of Chinese citizens, and impose more stringent requirements on the issuance of entry and exit documents. The vague meaning of non-essential outbound travel has added to the fears of those planning to flee China, as no one knows what constitutes essential and what constitutes non-essential. There have been many stories circulating on the internet about Chinese people being interrogated and having their passports cut when crossing the border. China's National Immigration Bureau dispelled the rumors in May, and Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou border checkpoints also issued statements to dispel the rumors. But the Chinese netizens' opinion is, when they dispel the rumors, people get scared, knowing they are probably true. The feeling of many Chinese people is that it's getting harder and harder to leave China.
Friends who have recently traveled overseas should pay attention. Avoid all the airports in Shanghai and be sure to pay attention. My friend departed from Pudong International Airport to New York last week and was so harassed that she almost missed her plane. The luggage was taken out for inspection one by one, which took 3 hours. He was deliberately slow, looking through the luggage one by one. It was intentionally wasting time, trying to stop you from leaving the country. Each suitcase was turned into a mess, till finally there was no time left. But they still wanted to look through the last 2 boxes. My friend's husband was at his wit's end. He abandoned the 2 boxes. The good thing is that they contain books belonging to their children. There were international students next to him at the airport, and everyone felt that the airport staff had gone too far and helped them pack their things. My friend's 2 children were crying on the sidelines. The airport staff still deliberately delayed. And finally, the international students next to them helped, pulling their luggage to the boarding gate. The speaker kept calling their names, and finally they arrived at the boarding gate in the last 3 minutes. They almost didn't make it to the flight. Previously, a few friends came out to the airport in Shanghai too. They were also tormented in various ways. They finally took a video threatening the airport to release the video online, and only then did the airport staff back off a bit. There were also 2 friends going to Canada. The airport staff has successfully dissuaded them. I'm now in Guangzhou's Baiyun Airport. I was really stuck for an hour. I tell you, don't travel overseas unless it's necessary. And don't plan to go sightseeing overseas. You simply can't get out. You'll just lose a few $1,000s, as the ticket isn't refundable. Today, I went out 3 hours in advance. I haven't yet checked my luggage when the police came to interrogate me, asking what you're doing abroad. If you're a tourist, you are directly advised to return. You can't get out at all. This time, I worked on e-commerce, so I went to the police station yesterday and sent all our information to them for review. After the audit, they sent the information to the departure police, and the police here read it and agreed before we could check in. Then we were allowed to enter the customs area for inspection, and then finally we could arrive here. We're now waiting for the plane. We have more than 200 people on this flight. None of them is for leisure. Leisure trips are simply not allowed to travel. It's not a money problem.
In such an atmosphere, 163.com published a report in July with the headline, "Ranking of countries in the world that people want to immigrate the most" is released. China rises to 4th, Australia ranks 9th. According to the ranking of this report, Canada is 1st, Japan 2nd, Spain ranks 3rd, and 4th is China. The report also said, the country that Chinese people most want to move to is Canada, while the country that Americans most want to move to is China. In the more than 400 follow-up posts that have been preserved, the audience expressed strong skepticism about the credibility of the report. One comment reads, "Does it really not hurt your conscience to tell lies? Bullying 99% of us nationals who can't get on internet outside the wall." And another wrote, "Americans desperately want to come here to take nucleic acid tests." Perhaps this story is a team effort by Wumaos who have been given a party assignment. It is just not clear if these Wumaos are also studying how to flee China, or maybe they are already standing in the long line in front of the foreign consulates where they were thinking about what ranking they should put China in.
死的呀。